Quarterback Shedeur Sanders delivered yet another devastating blow to head coach Kevin Stefanski's authority, this time with millions watching live on national television. The moment unfolded during ESPN's primetime segment featuring both the coach and the young star discussing team dynamics, but what followed left Stefanski visibly shaken as Sanders commanded the spotlight with surgical precision and unshakable composure. Roughly 8 minutes into the broadcast, host Stephen A. Smith posed what seemed like a routine question to Sanders about his role within Cleveland's offensive system, a moment where standard media training would normally dictate a safe, diplomatic response filled with carefully crafted talking points designed to promote organizational unity. Instead, Sanders opted for brutal honesty, delivering a line that instantly sent shockwaves through the studio audience and across social media platforms. "I can't control who benches me," Sanders stated matter-of-factly, his eyes never leaving the camera. "I just control what I do on the field. But everybody knows what happens when I actually get to play." The studio erupted with cheers, laughter, and applause, a spontaneous reaction that highlighted just how deeply the statement resonated. Meanwhile, cameras caught Stefanski's reaction in excruciating detail, a forced smile, restless shifting in his chair, and a nervous adjustment of his headset, each frame amplifying the contrast between the confident quarterback and his rattled coach. Youth challenging authority, truth confronting politics, and authenticity dismantling rehearsed messaging created the perfect viral storm. Within minutes, Twitter was ablaze with trending hashtags, Instagram stories multiplied by the second, and TikTok compilations emerged before the program even reached its first commercial break. One viral post racked up 2.3 million impressions overnight, declaring, "Shedeur just cooked Stefanski on live TV. He's not afraid anymore." Another trending clip praised his fearlessness, captioned, "This man really said everybody knows with zero hesitation, Stefanski looked sick." And make no mistake, this was not an isolated flashpoint. According to sources inside the Browns organization, the tension between Sanders and the coaching staff has been simmering since the infamous training camp suspension controversy, and this televised exchange may have just poured gasoline on a fire that threatens to engulf the entire franchise. Multiple insiders now suggest that Shedeur Sanders' statement was no accident, but a meticulously calculated move, timed for maximum impact and designed to deliver a message not just to the Cleveland Browns coaching staff but to the entire league. This wasn't a spontaneous emotional outburst. It was strategic communication warfare, sharpened by weeks of building frustration behind the scenes. According to reports, the tension began simmering during film sessions, where Sanders repeatedly questioned the conservative play calling that restricted his explosive skill set. Those close to the team described Stefanski as dismissive, doubling down on old-school coaching philosophy that prioritized rigid system execution over adapting to the generational talents sitting in his quarterback room. Translation: a clash between tradition and evolution, between a coach clinging to structure and a new-age athlete demanding freedom to maximize his abilities. As Sanders' preparation consistently exceeded even veteran standards and his limited playing time still produced superior statistical outputs, the coaching staff found itself divided. Sources claimed the offensive coordinator pushed for Sanders to take on a larger role, while Stefanski stubbornly resisted, fueling increasingly heated debates behind closed doors. This mounting friction set the stage for what ESPN producers assumed would be a routine, feel-good segment showcasing harmony between player development and coaching leadership. Instead, they found themselves broadcasting unscripted television gold, raw, authentic conflict exploding in real time before millions. Executives at the network were reportedly thrilled by the viral eruption, while the Browns front office scrambled in damage control mode. Sanders' carefully chosen words hit on 3 devastating levels. "I can't control who benches me" was a pointed reminder of Stefanski's controversial personnel decisions this season. "I just control what I do on the field" positioned Sanders as professional and composed, subtly contrasting himself against the dysfunction around him. And finally, "everybody knows what happens when I actually get to play" wasn't just a boast. It was a statistical truth backed by evidence, wrapped in language that league insiders immediately recognized as a direct challenge to Stefanski's competency. The weight of the phrase "everybody knows" cannot be overstated. It implied universal recognition, making it impossible to ignore. Analysts who reviewed the clip pointed out Sanders' delivery, respectful but unflinching, confrontational without crossing into disrespect, and anchored by unwavering eye contact that radiated confidence. Even ESPN's production crew, caught off guard, scrambled during the break, realizing they had just captured a moment destined to dominate sports media cycles for weeks to come. Network executives watching from corporate offices wasted no time greenlighting extended coverage of the segment, fully aware that controversy is the engine of modern engagement metrics, and Shedeur Sanders had just handed them primetime television gold while Kevin Stefanski endured what amounted to public humiliation in real time. Stefanski's visible discomfort told the story more vividly than any words. His defensive posture, forced smiles, and rapid blinking were dissected by body language experts across media platforms, each highlighting classic signs of stress from someone caught completely off guard, unprepared for a direct challenge to his authority on a national stage. What emerged wasn't just a coach-player disagreement but a full-blown power struggle that now threatens to reshape the Cleveland Browns' organizational hierarchy. Sanders embodies the new generation athlete, confident, statistically validated, and media-savvy enough to understand his brand power transcends team loyalty, while Stefanski represents the old-school archetype, relying on positional authority instead of earned credibility. The twist few anticipated, however, came from inside the locker room, where multiple veteran players reportedly voiced private support for Sanders' comments despite maintaining outward neutrality. Offensive linemen are said to be frustrated by Stefanski's conservative play calling that limits Sanders' explosive potential. Wide receivers privately acknowledge superior chemistry when Sanders runs the offense, and even defensive players recognize that organizational dysfunction is undermining competitive opportunities. Respect, it seems, is shifting towards Sanders' authenticity over Stefanski's political posturing. Younger players openly admire Sanders' courage to challenge authority, while some veterans, though cautious about disrupting traditional hierarchy, can't deny his clear talent advantage. This generational divide is fueling an increasingly uneasy daily environment inside the Browns facility, where position coaches are caught in impossible scenarios, some quietly aligning with Sanders' frustrations while others defend the coach for the sake of organizational order, even as they privately acknowledge the glaring disparity in quarterback talent. National media seized the moment with relentless analysis. Colin Cowherd dedicated an entire segment to breaking down the interaction, Skip Bayless labeled it a generational changing of the guard, and Shannon Sharpe went further, declaring, "That young man just graduated from rookie to franchise cornerstone with a single statement." Fan reaction only deepened the divide. Older demographics clung to concerns about respect, order, and traditional values, while younger fans championed Sanders as a bold, authentic leader unafraid to expose incompetence. Reddit forums captured the split perfectly. One top comment proclaimed, "Finally, someone with a backbone in Cleveland." Stefanski has wasted this roster for years, while another equally popular response said, "Sanders just became my favorite Brown. Kid refuses to accept mediocrity." Opponents countered with calls for discipline, respect the coach regardless. This behavior destroys team chemistry. Yet the drama escalated further when, by Wednesday morning, Cleveland sports media reported Sanders' agent had already met with the front office immediately following the broadcast, with discussions allegedly covering role expansion, input in play calling, and long-term contract considerations. Translation: Sanders is leveraging his viral moment and swelling public support into organizational influence. Stefanski, meanwhile, is cornered in an impossible scenario balancing ownership pressure, a potential player rebellion, and a media frenzy dissecting every micro-expression of his unraveling authorities simultaneously. Team owner Jimmy Haslam reportedly scheduled emergency meetings to evaluate coaching staff performance, organizational messaging, and damage control strategies, while general manager Andrew Berry found himself awkwardly wedged between supporting his embattled head coach and acknowledging the undeniable talent advantages of his young quarterback. And here's the part that transforms the drama into something more than just headlines. Shedeur Sanders' production validates every ounce of the controversy. In his limited opportunities, Sanders has outperformed Cleveland's established starters with staggering consistency, a higher completion percentage, a superior yards per attempt average, 0 interceptions against multiple touchdowns, and efficiency ratings that embarrass the depth chart decisions Stefanski has stubbornly defended. The most damning stat of all? Explosive plays. Sanders generates highlight-worthy moments with effortless regularity, while veteran quarterbacks struggle to sustain basic offensive rhythm. Receivers openly praise his arm strength, precision, and decision-making under pressure, while the offensive coordinator is said to be pushing privately for increased usage, even as Stefanski resists. Beyond the numbers, Sanders' intangible qualities shine even brighter. Younger teammates naturally gravitate toward his charisma and confidence, veterans respect his meticulous preparation and advanced film study, and everyone in the building notices his remarkable poise, staying focused, professional, and productive despite the storm swirling around him. But the organizational math is complicated. Sanders' rookie deal makes him one of the NFL's best bargains given his output, while Stefanski's recent contract extension makes his potential firing an expensive, politically fraught decision for ownership. Both sides are locked in, with no easy exit strategy, guaranteeing this conflict will linger until Haslam and the front office make a definitive move. Meanwhile, the fan base has exploded with passion and polarization. Jersey sales have spiked dramatically, Sanders' social media following has skyrocketed, and local sports radio has gone wall-to-wall with nothing but quarterback-coach debate. Cleveland hasn't felt this kind of football electricity since the original draft buzz surrounding Sanders' selection. Sports bars are reporting record crowds for Browns-related programming, merchandise retailers can't keep his jersey in stock, and even the season ticket waiting list has surged back to life after years of stagnation. One segment of television has sparked more community engagement than the Browns generated over the entire previous season. The Cleveland Plain Dealer splashed the story across its front page, local television interrupted normal programming with live updates, and sports talk personalities canceled scheduled guests to dedicate full shows to dissecting every angle of the Sanders-Stefanski showdown. The ripple effects extend well beyond Cleveland. Divisional rivals like the Bengals, Ravens, and Steelers are monitoring the dysfunction closely, already preparing for the likelihood of Sanders' expanded role while savoring Cleveland's instability. Organizational chaos, in the cutthroat AFC North, is a luxury the Browns cannot afford. And yet here's the wild card. Consequences remain entirely unpredictable. The standard resolution would involve a public player apology, the coach reasserting authority, and a press release pushing unity. But Sanders has shown no intention of retreating, instead, he has doubled down on professionalism and courage, reinforcing his message with production rather than platitudes. Stefanski, meanwhile, lacks the leverage to force compliance without appearing weak, desperate, or overmatched. By Thursday, explosive new developments further fueled the fire. Multiple outlets reported that Haslam convened an emergency board meeting immediately following Sanders' viral moment, with discussion topics ranging from coaching evaluations to player personnel adjustments and even a wholesale overhaul of the team's public messaging. Translation: Stefanski's job security evaporated almost instantly in the wake of national embarrassment. Intermediary agents representing potential coaching candidates have already begun reaching out to the Browns, sensing blood in the water. Names whispered include seasoned NFL coordinators, respected position coaches, and even prominent college head coaches tracking the situation closely. The coaching carousel is spinning before the season is even over. Through it all, Sanders has carried on with business as usual, arriving early to practice, staying late for film, and executing offensive concepts with clinical sharpness. His consistency in the face of chaos has not gone unnoticed. Veterans see it, rookies rally to it, and the contrast with Stefanski's increasingly defensive behavior only highlights the shift in authority. Thursday's practice turned into a full-blown media circus, with national reporters swarming Berea, local stations deploying camera crews en masse, and radio hosts broadcasting live from the parking lot as every micro-interaction between quarterback and coach was scrutinized for evidence of a changing power dynamic. The data on Sanders' rise is staggering, his Instagram following ballooned by 500,000 in 72 hours, TikTok compilations of his ESPN moment eclipsed 10 million views, and Twitter mentions spiked 1,500% above normal levels. Add in the flood of brand partnership inquiries now coming his way, and the picture is clear: Sanders has successfully transformed a controversy into a cultural moment, elevating himself from promising rookie into franchise-defining figure while leaving his head coach increasingly isolated on borrowed time. Friday afternoon delivered a shocking development as anonymous league sources revealed that multiple veteran Browns players had quietly approached team captains, requesting a private meeting with ownership representatives to discuss coaching staff competency, organizational direction, and overall player confidence levels. Such unprecedented steps strongly signaled that the locker room was rallying behind Shedeur Sanders, even if most maintained a neutral tone publicly. The psychological warfare within the franchise had become impossible to ignore. Sanders projected supreme confidence, challenging authority in public forums with sharp precision, while Stefanski displayed the body language of a man under siege: closed posture, forced expressions, visible stress tics. Sports psychologists noted that Sanders' dominance wasn't accidental but rather an example of carefully executed communication strategy, combining timing, message clarity, and delivery with professional calm. Former NFL players chimed in with divided takes. Some praised his authenticity, competitive fire, and refusal to accept mediocrity, while others warned that breaking traditional respect boundaries risked undermining organizational hierarchy. In reality, the debate mirrored a broader generational shift within professional sports, where player empowerment increasingly collides with entrenched institutional authority. The timing of Sanders' ESPN appearance amplified the drama perfectly. A primetime Tuesday slot ensured massive exposure, social media algorithms guaranteed viral spread by early Wednesday, and the ensuing news cycle stretched coverage across every major network. One camp defending the sanctity of coaching hierarchy, the other celebrating Sanders as the long-awaited culture-changer. By the weekend, however, the scales tipped. Grassroots campaigns surged across social platforms, #FighterTime trended nationally, local fan clubs organized demonstrations outside the Browns facility, and prominent sports voices in Cleveland openly declared allegiance to Sanders. For a fan base battered by decades of quarterback disappointments, Sanders became more than a player. He represented hope and defiance against organizational stagnation. The shift inside the building was just as seismic. At Monday's quarterback meeting, Sanders walked in with amplified confidence while Stefanski struggled to maintain the facade of authority. Practices saw improved energy and execution, with veterans quietly noting Sanders' film study, communication skills, and precision execution even as media storms raged outside. The true bombshell dropped Tuesday morning. Multiple trusted sources reported that Stefanski had submitted his resignation following a private meeting with Jimmy Haslam. His statement framed the exit around philosophical differences while carefully preserving professional courtesy, but the reality was clear: his authority had collapsed in less than a week. What followed was nothing short of organizational rebirth. By Wednesday, the Browns unveiled an interim coaching structure with expanded responsibilities for Sanders, new practice procedures designed to highlight his strengths, and a renewed emphasis on leadership development centered around their young quarterback. Veterans, once skeptical, now expressed optimism about the franchise's competitive future despite the turbulence of a mid-season transition. In the span of 7 days, Shedeur Sanders had evolved from controversial rookie to undeniable cornerstone, his viral television moment catalyzing an organizational upheaval that had long seemed inevitable. The lesson for Cleveland, and perhaps the entire NFL, was painfully clear: modern athlete empowerment is not a trend to be dismissed but a reality to be embraced. Authentic leadership, strategic communication, and consistent performance will inevitably outweigh old-school notions of authority imposed by title alone. Sanders forced the Browns to adapt, positioning himself as both catalyst and beneficiary of a transformation that reshaped the team's identity. What began as a media firestorm ended as a cultural turning point, an unprecedented, player-driven organizational revolution. Sanders emerged not only victorious but historic, crafting a new template for empowerment while maintaining professionalism, while Stefanski became the cautionary tale of what happens when leadership resists inevitable change. Cleveland football fans, for the first time in years, witnessed authentic leadership rise above dysfunction in real time, and the message resounded across the league: Shedeur Sanders is the future, while the old guard belongs firmly in the past. The revolution was complete.